Good morning, degenerates, and welcome to another episode of Boring Crypto IO, the place where I read you the boring crypto news every morning, Monday through Friday, just so you don't have to. My name is not important. LFG. U.S. crypto exchange Bittrex faces potential action from SEC. Representative Davidson to introduce legislation to fire SEC boss Gensler from crypto overreach. Let's go. Bitcoin, ETH are like gold, says Cathie Wood, but Ray Dalio is still skeptical. And last but not least, Arbitrum proposal to return 700 million ARB fails. Whale calls it a quote-unquote power play. To the market, $1.252 trillion. Bitcoin dominance has dropped to 45.6%. ETH dominance climbing slightly to 19.7%. And a whopping 30 Gwei will get you an ETH transaction. Now, looking at the market, there's been a slight pullback from probably around middle of last night till now. Bitcoin has dropped back down in below 30 grand with a 2.32% pullback. Still at 4.35 on the week. ETH sitting strong right now with only a 60.6% pullback, 12% on the week. And what else we got going on? BNB up almost 9 for the week. Cardano smashing just like ETH, 14.21 on the week. Doge 12.32 on the week. So on and so forth. Avalanche is running. It's almost 16% on the week, 6.62 on the day. Chainlink 10.47 on the week. Cosmos 13.7 on the week. Yeah, Bitcoin's looking like the only one that's kind of looking weak right now. Let's jump to it. Bitcoin. Woo! That is a nasty wicking candle. But it is getting bought up, so that's good. What we have found here, we're going to add just one more support line. Obviously, right here at 29.8. Support, but then we broke down. So once we I haven't even looked at the charts today. I just knew that we were kind of dumping with Bitcoin. But with what I'm looking at right now, this is the 1 hour chart. Based off this 1 hour chart, I would say right now anywhere from 28.9 to 30 is no man's land. Again, there's not a lot of movement in that range. I'm not bullish till we're above 30, and I'm not necessarily bearish till we're below this 28.9. But with that being said, with this turning into support, this 29.8, simply said, all I'm looking for right now is for us to get back above this 29.8, hopefully turn that into support, then outside of that, get above 30, turn that back into support, and so on and so forth. I don't know of any news. Here's why Bitcoin. I don't want to read this. Bitcoin falls below 30. Why? I don't know of anything going on right now that would be dumping Bitcoin. Let's just click on one of these for shits and giggles, guys. Bitcoin currently trending at 29,929 after initially spiking above 30K. This movement can be attributed to various factors, including the role of fear of missing out of FOMO, tendency prices move, blah, 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 impact. Ethereum Shanghai update played a significant role in the initial surge and unlocked state in Ethereum and led to a spike in volatility, risk, demand, and cryptocurrency market. The fear of missing out wields significant influence in the realm of cryptocurrency investments. Blah, 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 blah. I guess they're just kind of saying that people are FOMOing into ETH. And that's why Bitcoin is dumping. That is not... I mean, I don't know, maybe. But I don't really think that would be a big reason for ETH to dump. But here's one more little line we're going to put in here before we get out off Bitcoin. Originally, resistance now has become support. If you look right here... Where's my paintbrush? If you look right here and right here, This was originally inside of the box. This was originally resistance. We dumped to it, and we've been getting bought back up since we touched it. Again, just more levels to keep your eyes on. Yeah. So we'll see what happens, guys. Like I said, I told you what I would be looking at least in the short term. See what the 4 hour looks like before we get off of Bitcoin. I mean, we dumped right to that level. Check that out. Boing! And then took off. Yeah. Like I said, need to flip this line right here to support, and again 30 to support, and then so on and so forth for me to continue being bullish. Right now, I am playing the weighted game just to see what's going to happen. Ethereum. Yes, leave. Ethereum. Ooh. So I drew this pattern Saturday. It's Ethereum on the 1 hour. Potential, either you call it bull flag, call it bullish pennant, whatever. Drew it. We broke out, which is awesome. Got rejected from this 2144 level. Came down, touched it, and then took off again. And I was like, okay, that's super bullish. But then we got rejected, came back down into the pattern, played the pattern, bounced off the bottom trend line of the pattern, played the pattern again, and now we're breaking lower. What does that mean? Shit, man, I don't know. Let's get at the 4 hour. You know, I mean, this could potentially go like this too. Let's see if it holds. Same thing with Bitcoin though. With this giant run up, not a lot of volume in here, or yeah, volume nodes, buying, selling, etc., etc. I would be looking for hopefully a bounce off of this old trend line, which was this ascending channel that we were looking at. If we back out, there's this ascending channel that we were watching for quite some time that we broke off of. We could potentially come down, bounce off of this trend line, even break through this $2,000 level. If we break off this trend line and bounce again and go higher, again bullish, or potentially just break down to 2,000, turn 2,000 into support, break off, go bullish. Outside of that, we break back down into the channel. Either look for the bottom trend line of the channel to hold, or these next levels I have here. This 18.6, 18 even, 1776, call it 1780, 1720, etc. But right now, with that little movement of the triangle, we're still kind of hanging out in the pattern. Again, I don't really know why we'd be dumping right now. Besides people just waking up, taking profit as the market's opening up. That's the only thing I can really think of. I'm not seeing any FUD or anything like that. So that's what I'm looking at, guys. Let's just get on to news and get you out of here. U.S. crypto exchange Bittrex faces potential action from SEC. Weird. Surprise, surprise. SEC going after another exchange. Bittrex has already started winding down operations by the time it received a notice of potential action from the SEC, the General Counsel said. United States-based cryptocurrency exchange Bittrex is reportedly facing potential action from the U.S. securities regulator despite preparing to shut down local operations. Weird. Just trying to get some money before they shut down. The Enforcement Division of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission is inclined to recommend the agency sue Bittrex over alleged violations related to investor protection. The Wall Street Journal reported on April 16th, which was yesterday. The enforcement unit informed Bittrex about potential action from the SEC in March. Bittrex General Counsel David Maria reportedly said, by that time, the Seattle-based crypto firm had already started the process of winding down its U.S. operations, the attorney stated. In the notice of potential enforcement action known as Wells Notice, the SEC wrote that Bittrex has violated laws by doing business as an exchange, broker-dealer, and clearinghouse without registering with the regulator. According to Bittrex General Counsel, the company discussed with the SEC in late 2022 how to register its operations. The crypto firm found that there was no opportunity to follow the rules of the SEC without essentially ceasing all of its revenue-producing activities in the country. Surprise, surprise. Attorney Maria stressed... Attorney Maria? That's it, just one name. She's Maria. She's got one name. Stressed that Bittrex's inability to comply with the SEC rules was due to the agency not providing clear regulations for crypto in the first place. That's it. That's all we're looking for. He stated, the lack of regulatory clarity here results in substantial costs and no certainty as to what can and can't be offered. Bittrex is not aware whether the SEC is going to file a lawsuit now that the company is terminating operations in the United States. Maria said if the agency decides to take action, Bittrex will litigate unless regulators came with a reasonable settlement offer, the counsel reportedly added. News came soon after Bittrex announced plans to stop all operations in the United States on March 31st. Citing the challenging regulatory and economic environment, the exchange advised U.S. customers to withdraw their funds by April 30th. You've got 13 days before it decided to leave the United States. Bittrex had faced some issues at home. In 2022, Bittrex agreed to pay more than $29 million in fines from the U.S. Department of Treasury, Office of Foreign Asset Control and Financial Crime Enforcement Network. That is a mouthful. The settlement was related to sanction violations in the Crimea region, Cuban, Iran, Sudan, blah, 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 Syria between 2014. Okay, my take. They're shutting down. They're like, cool, you want to play this game? We're just going to leave the United States. And now the SEC is like, oh, well, we were hoping you would just settle and give us some money. So now we're going to crank up the volume and try and come after you harder. That's how I see this shit. It's absolute garbage. I just see the SEC trying to money grab. That's really all I'm looking at. And again, what did you expect these companies to do? They're fine. I mean, crypto is a worldwide asset. They're just going to leave the United States. Congratulations, SEC. Speaking of the SEC, let's go on to this story. Gensler, you got a target on your back. We'll just say that. Every time I see REP, I never know if it's Republican or representative. But Rep. Davidson to introduce legislation to fire SEC boss Gary Gensler for crypto overreach. Yeah, see you later. Bye, dude. A U.S. congressman has declared he will introduce legislation to have SEC boss Gary Gensler removed from his role. I'm not sure who would take his role. Hopefully it's someone who has half of a brain. Securities and Exchange Commission Gary Gensler The SEC chair Gary Gensler could be facing unemployment after United States Representative Warren Davidson declared he would introduce legislation to fire the SEC boss. An April 15th tweet responding to Coinbase's legal chief Paul Grewal, the crypto-friendly congressman announced his intention to have Gensler removed from his role after the SEC's latest announcement about revisiting the proposed redefinition of an exchange. To correct a long series of abuse, I'm introducing legislation that removes the chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission and replaces the role with an executive director that reports to the board where the authority resides, Davidson tweeted. There is his tweet. I am not going to read it. If you want to go find Warren Davidson on Twitter, there's his handle. Former chairs of the SEC are ineligible, he added. Gensler said in an April 14th meeting that the proposed rule amendments could benefit investors and markets by bringing certain brokers under additional regulatory scrutiny, as well as monetizing rules that define an exchange. Similar amendments were proposed in January 2022. At the time, crypto advocacy groups suggested it was an overreach of the SEC's authority that could jeopardize participation in the space. SEC Commissioner Hester Pierce, known as the Crypto Mom, for her pro-crypto position, criticized the new proposed rule amendments in April 14th statement declaring stagnation, centralization, expatriation? I can't read today at all. And extinction are the watchwords of the latest movement by the SEC. Rather than embracing the promise of new technology as we have done in the past, here we propose to embrace stagnation, force centralization, urge expatriation, and welcome extinction to new technology. Accordingly, I dissent, she added. And there's her tweet. According to Pierce, unlike the past when the SEC embraces new technology, the modern regulator has been expanding its reach to solve problems that do not exist. She further opinion, the SEC has taken the approach of refusing to alter current regulations to allow room for new technologies and new ways of doing business. Today's commission tells entrepreneurs trying to do new things in our markets to come in and register, Pierce said. When the entrepreneurs find they cannot, the commission dismisses the possibility of making practical adjustments to our registration framework to help entrepreneurs register, and instead rewards their good faith with an enforcement action. Pierce also accused the SEC of using the notice and comment rulemaking process as a threat. According to Pierce, because of the concerns over the ambiguity and scope of the new proposed rule, changes the SEC's limited understanding of the space and concept release should have been issued instead. I wish we had proceeded differently, Pierce said. Over the last few years, the SEC has launched more than a few high-profile actions against crypto companies such as Ripple, Library, and Coinbase over alleged violations. Mind you, alleged violations. It has also taken aim at staking and stablecoins, prompting some critics to argue the SEC has been using enforcement actions to develop the law on a case-by-case basis rather than creating clear regulations. Exactly. Nothing new. All garbage. All bullshit. All a money grab. Moving on. Bitcoin and Ether are like gold, says Cathie Wood, but Ray Dalio is skeptical. He has been skeptical for quite some time. I think over a month ago, we read an article about Ray saying he was skeptical. Cathie Wood thinks Bitcoin and Ether are acting like I guarantee you my channel will probably never blow up. Why? Because I can't read for shit. Cathie Woods thinks Bitcoin and Ether are acting as quote-unquote risk-off assets and as a flight to safety for investors amid macroeconomic uncertainty. I feel that way. Recent turmoil in the banking sector has shown that Bitcoin and ETH can withstand a shaky economy, outperform other asset classes, and function like gold, says ARK Investment CEO Cathie Wood. There needs to be a space there. But one. It's not one word. But one. Longtime investors still isn't sold. But one. Better than but two, I guess. Wood said in April 15th interview that Bitcoin's resilience throughout the most recent banking crisis has been the most remarkable of all indicators her tech-focused investment management firm is monitoring. I don't know why I said that weird like that. Bitcoin and ETH are now acting as risk-off assets and as a flight to safety for investors amid macroeconomic uncertainty. She claimed they're going to disrupt the traditional world order. What are Bitcoin and What are Bitcoin and ETH doing? I mean, by the very fact that they're being considered flight to safety like gold, that's really interesting and suggests much broader base adoption and acceptance than I think most people understand. We would say that there is a flight to safety, certainly led by crypto assets, and it is telling us that the world is transforming and will continue to transform. You cannot stop innovation, she added. Hello, SEC, are you listening? You cannot stop innovation. You can try. You can piss some people off, but you cannot stop it. There's Cathie Woods. Go follow her if you want to on Twitter and read that tweet. Wood thinks cryptocurrency will eventually become an election issue. I agree. 100% agree. When the sector becomes more broadly accepted, just wait next year. When the primaries are selected, I strongly think that it will be an election issue. That'll definitely be the smoking gun. Sorry, lost my place. Election issue. When the sector becomes more broadly accepted, the public can more clearly see the kinds of regulatory pressure the United States government is applying on the industry to maintain centralized control of money and monetary policy. Not all share Wood's sentiment. Ray Dalio, the founder of Bridgewater Associates, the world's largest hedge fund by assets under management, said in an April 12th interview that Bitcoin could not serve as an effective currency because it's too volatile and central banks won't adopt it. I think there's the problem, though, Ray, is that we don't want central banks to adopt it. We don't want central banks at all. The banking system is flawed. It is a scam, and we're over it. The reality, Ray, is that crypto in general is our hedge against central banks and the banking system. Ray quotes, Bitcoin is neither an effective store of wealth I disagree with that too. Or a medium of exchange. It's definitely not a medium of exchange. So it's not an effective currency. It has volatility to that. It has no real relation to practically anything. It's a very, very poor ton of gold. Not necessarily. Okay, I got to argue with this. I love Ray. I think Ray's a genius. Ray was one of the first guys that got me into understanding financials in the world and get out of the rat race, basically. But Ray, I don't think you understand what you're saying. Bitcoin has done nothing but go up since its inception. Yes, it has swings. We understand, but one Bitcoin is still one Bitcoin. As well as, again, I agree, it's not a medium exchange. It will never be a medium exchange. If you want to get down to brass tacks, the reality is Ethereum is becoming our Bitcoin becomes a gold, Ethereum becomes a dollar. We have our internet money. We buy things with ETH all the time. We swap ETH. We trade ETH. If ETH could get this gas issue under control, ETH is done. It does its thing. And I believe it or not, I'm not really a huge ETH fan. I'm just looking at the facts that are right in front of me. Outside of that, let me ask you a question. If you're out in the world, right? Let's say the world goes to hell and you turn all your cash into gold and you want to go make a transaction with somebody. Let's say we go back to the dark ages, which I doubt will happen, but let's say we just, small communities, markets, exchange, trade, whatever. It's very, very hard to break off chunks of gold in correct denominations to pay for things. So how are you contributing or comparing gold and Bitcoin to any medium of exchange, right? So that's what silver comes into play, where silver is a smaller denomination, is easily divided and divisible, is the correct word I'm looking for, and used for a medium of exchange. And it's so cliche and so lame to say, but Bitcoin becomes the gold, ETH becomes the silver. I mean, just look over here. Bitcoin's this orangish yellow color, and ETH is this grayish silver color. Like, what the shit? Anyway, that's my opinion on that. I'm not discrediting Ray Dalio by any means. He's way smarter than me. But again, it almost makes me think he still doesn't understand it. So moving on. They can outlaw Bitcoin. They can regulate it. Central banks and countries, blah, blah, blah. Much don't want it anyway. No, they can't. All they can say is that it's illegal to use. It doesn't mean we're going to stop. The fact that I can literally take my Bitcoin off of an exchange, put it on a ledger, and go trade that ledger around with someone for cash, for whatever, for goods, whatever. The fact that you can pull it off into a cold storage wallet and move it, I don't even think they grasp this concept. So we can do over-the-counter trading, I don't even call it peer-to-peer trading, without anyone even knowing. Anyways, central banks and countries pretty much don't want it anyway. He said, adding that it's getting attention way out of proportion to its size. Ray. Dallas strengthens his case by pointing out that gold is the third largest reserve held by central banks. Well, yeah, but again, this is the anti-central bank. Trailing only the US dollar and euros. Despite previously describing Bitcoin as one hell of an invention, Dalio recently said that he instead wants to see an inflation-linked coin, but built that would serve to ensure consumers secure their buying power. Yeah, right. Created by who? The government, Ray? Get out of here. All right. Let me know what you guys think about that. Comments down below. Let's get your last article out and get on our way. The belle of the ball that turned into the red-headed ugly stepchild. ARB. Arbitrum proposal to return 700 million ARB fails while Whale calls it a power play. AIP 1.05 was defeated by 118 million votes after the proposal was introduced following the Arbitrum Foundation's transfer of funds without community approval. A controversial proposal seeking the return of 700 million ARB government's tokens to Arbitrum's DAO treasury was rejected by a massive number of votes on April 15th. The improvement proposal, called AIP 1.05, was introduced after the Arbitrum Foundation transferred funds without community approval in March. The proposal was defeated by 118 million votes, representing 84% of the total votes received, while 21 million ARB tokens voted for the proposal, nearly 14.5% of the total. Around 2 million ARB tokens abstained. The proposal asked the foundation to return the tokens as a symbolic gesture to demonstrate that the governance holders ultimately control the DAO, not the Arbitrum service provider, nor the foundation. On the government's forum, a whale with 4.8 million ARB tokens said the proposal seems to only serve as a power play that would add an unnecessary step and delay the foundation's ability to support the growth of Arbitrum's ecosystem. Another whale voting against the proposal with 18 million ARB tokens stated that balance is necessary to promote decentralization and progress in the ecosystem. There is a balance that we need to try to accomplish between advocating and decentralizing and preventing progress in the ecosystem. I believe that decentralization on its ideal form is nowhere to be seen in this industry yet. Arbitrum's community and its foundation are engaged in a dispute over the foundation's government proposal AIP1, which called for an investment of nearly $1 billion worth of ARB tokens to fund its operation. After facing community backlash, the foundation later said that AIP1 was a ratification, not a proposal, and it added that some of the tokens were already sold for stablecoins. The AIP1 proposal was Arbitrum's first attempt at governance after its tokens airdrop in early March. The foundation has already released a new set of improvement proposals to reestablish dialogue with the community. Headaches over headaches over headaches. I don't know what this means for ARB. I'm not holding any. I was looking at buying when it dumped about $1.13. And I don't know. I got sidetracked and never got into it. I know it pumped over the weekend. Let's see where it's at right now before we get out of here. Up to $1.61. Not a bad run from that $1.16, $1.15, $1.13 low, I think it was. What was the low? 7 day. $1.17. God, it's only been a week. Let's check it out on TradingView. Bear with me, y'all. Ooh, did we get down to $1.09? Just under $1.10. It looks like it. Oh, just look like it touched $1.10. I mean, if that's not a psychological number, I don't know what is. It wicked on what is this? Binance. It wicked down to $1.10, it looks like. So not a bad run. Let's see what that percentage is before I get you guys out here. I'm just playing right now, guys. Come on, work with me, Mr. Chart. So where was that? $1.10. About a 60% run. You can't be mad about that. I don't know what's going to do. I mean, right now it looks like it's setting up a bull flag. But I guess it depends on what the rest of the market's going to do. If Bitcoin doesn't continue to dump and go sideways, I can see the altcoin market going ham. Honestly, I can totally see the altcoin market running hard. I think that's what the altcoin market has been waiting for Bitcoin to cool down a little bit. Let's see what it does right there, guys. Keep your eye on that if you are watching Arbitrum, ARB. ETH. Still kind of hanging around that pattern. Let's look at Bitcoin one last time before I get you guys out of here. All right, hanging right in the middle of the box, 29.5. Again, keep an eye on peak mocks. Let's make these white too, because these aren't super significant yet, but they're lines and levels to watch. So everybody's waiting with bated breath to see what Bitcoin is going to do. I would love to see some sideways movement above 30. Honestly, I would love to see it range between 30 and 34, 3,400. 30,400 in case you can. So we can get some movements, more movement out of the altcoin market. But for with that being said, guys, per usual, if you do enjoy the content I provide here on Boring Crypto IO, please by all means subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell for notifications, watch, please, like if you do like the videos. Share the videos on all social channels, and I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. Out of here.